Hello, everybody. I'm
Yes.
Kira Kazantzis, and I'm the CEO of Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. I'm actually just here to say hi and welcome. Welcome everyone to this Nonprofit Candidate Forum, sponsored by the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. And I'm going to hand it right back over to Janella to kick us off.
Awesome. Thanks, Kira. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I am Janella Ordonez, the Policy and Advocacy Associate with the Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. Welcome to SVCN's Candidate Forum. Today, we're joined by 4 candidates for the District 6 and District 10 seats of the City of San Jose City Council. If possible, we encourage everyone in the audience to have their cameras on and to make sure that their microphones remain muted throughout the forum. As an organization, SVCN hosts these candidate fora to provide nonprofit leaders with the opportunity to learn more about the ideas, visions, and priorities of candidates for local office. Today, we'll focus our discussion on issues that impact nonprofits as community-based service providers, government contractors, and community advocates. As a continuing SVCN practice, I want to acknowledge that this office sits on the unceded lands of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe. Together, let us commit to educating ourselves and advocating for Indigenous peoples and all communities that have been neglected and displaced by the US government or other colonial powers. For accessibility purposes, we do have the automated closed captioning feature in Zoom activated. Now with this, you do have the ability to move the captions around on your screen to a more convenient area, or you can disable the closed captioning feature entirely if you prefer to not have it up. To do so, please reference the bar at the bottom of your Zoom as pictured on the slide. Click on the live transcript on the right-hand side and then click Hide Subtitles if you're having any tech or other troubles during this session. Please private message me or any of my SVCN colleagues directly in the chat. And then once again, before we get started, I'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsors at the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. SVCF empowers and provides resources to community-based organizations to initiate systemic change. We couldn't have put together this forum without them. All right, now to kick things off, I'd like to introduce our moderator for today. Sakura Cannestra is a reporter covering politics and government in the cities of Sunnyvale and Santa Clara for San Jose Spotlight, a local nonprofit news outlet. She has covered a wide variety of topics ranging from Santa Clara County's housing crisis to tech innovations and policies to supporting services for homeless residents. And previously, she reported for Politico California and the Daily Californian. Without further ado, I'll pass it to Sakura.
Thank you very much, and welcome, candidates. Now, before we begin, I'll be explaining the ground rules regarding the timing and formatting of today's forum. Audience members, we please ask that you remain on mute while the candidates are speaking throughout the forum. Candidates, you will have up to 1 minute, 30 seconds for opening statements. Afterward, I will be asking a series of both sponsor-submitted and audience pre-submitted questions. You will have up to 1 minute, 30 seconds to answer each question. For convenience of the candidates and our audience members tuning in, we will also be dropping the questions in the chat live time as they get asked. During the forum, we will be including a lightning round of questions, which will be a mix of fun topics that will require a yes or no answer, or a response of 1 sentence or less. After asking all the questions, we'll finish up by having each candidate share their closing statements, and they will have up to 2 minutes each to do so. Throughout the forum, candidates will be speaking on a rotating basis to ensure that each candidate has a fair opportunity to speak first or last. Audience members, you have some options for how to view your screen. If you want to view only the speakers, leave the setting as it is. If the shared screen with our timer looks too big on your screen, you can toggle the middle line over to the left so the speakers are bigger and the timer is smaller. Lastly, audience, we do have a no campaigning rule in our candidate forum, so please no campaigning in the chat. If you have a question, you can ask your question in the chat, but we might be short on time, so we are unlikely to have time here to ask it in this forum. And one final note to our candidates, please remember to be respectful to one another and of the time limits allotted with each answer. All questions directed at candidates will be asked by me. Therefore, please refrain from asking questions of other candidates. For your convenience, we will have a timer on the screen so you can visually see how much time you have left to answer each question. With that being said, I would like to introduce our candidates. From District 6, Michael Mulcahy, and District 10, George Casey, and Arjun Batra. At the last minute, Olivia Navarro was unable to join us, but all candidates have been invited, and these are those who were able to join us. The ones who could are here now. Well, welcome candidates. Let's begin with opening statements. You'll have a minute, 30 seconds each, like I said, and we will be starting with Michael.
Thank you, Sakura. Appreciate it very much. And thank you to Gianella and Kira for organizing this with SVCN. Really important to have an opportunity to reach out to the nonprofit sector who does such an amazing job in our community. Look, I'm running as a neighborhood champion. I'm born and raised in San Jose, and I've spent really my entire life working to build up our community. Kimberly and I have raised 3 daughters here in Willow Glen. I left Willow Glen for 3 years for college, but other than that, I've spent the better part of my life and my working career here. I'm running for San Jose City Council to stand up for public safety, ending the crisis of homelessness in our city, and for job creation, specifically for our small business community, and to build up our neighborhood business districts. Since I've graduated college, I've been on at least one board of directors or have been an executive director myself every year since, over 35 years. From Team San Jose as a founding member and still involved there today, to the Children's Musical Theater, which has been a life's passion and life's work, to now working with Hillbrook School in downtown that's locating a high school right near St. James Park. I look to this opportunity today to share with you what I believe and what I'm aiming to do as a council member. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Next up is George.
Hello, thank you for having me. Appreciate this opportunity. Like Michael, I believe the nonprofits have a major role to play here in our community. I grew up in the district I'm trying to represent, so I consider myself a product of District 10. My family's been here since the 70s. Had the opportunity to move away, but never really considered it because I wanted to raise my kids here in the same community I grew up in, had an idyllic childhood. Unfortunately, this is no longer the San Jose that I grew up in. And similar to Michael, my concerns are public safety and our homelessness crisis and expanding our economy and building on what valuable resources we have here, in particular small business folks. I think we can do a lot better. And another thing is just the blight in general around San Jose. We have a golden opportunity with our demographics. We're one of the wealthiest cities in the country, and we could be doing a whole lot better. I believe with my professional and academic background and my connection to this city and my deep roots here that I could be a valuable contributor on the council to getting us to where I believe we can be. And I look forward to the opportunity to speak with you guys today.
Okay, well, thank you very much, George. And next is Arjun. Arjun, I believe you are muted.
Like when you asked everybody to mute, I muted to myself. Okay, all right. Now I'm unmuted. Okay.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. Having the dialogue with the nonprofits is very essential. What makes the United States the unique country in the world is its value system, but combine that with the number of nonprofits we have and the number of people who volunteer in their neighborhoods to make our cities, our neighborhoods, and our country better. That is a unique distinction the United States enjoys compared to any other country. I've been in the United States for 40 years in San Jose and have lived in the same home for 37 years. I'm deeply rooted in this neighborhood. My children have gone to the public schools in this very district. They're alumni of that. My wife is an environmental engineer, and she is a teacher at the adult education to make the new immigrants be accommodated in our city. Ever since I've been appointed on the city council, I've been working on public safety, homelessness, and making sure that all people in San Jose, doesn't matter their income level, what part of the city they live in, they all able to enjoy equal facilities, equal entertainment, equal safety, and all of those things. I've been working towards having all our people be able to have a San Jose life, which is a very good life, should be a very good life, and has been a very good life. That's what I will make it happen
Oh.
in this city. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that, Arjun. And thank you all three of you, for your opening statements. We're now going to go to our Q&A period with our first question. On August 14th, the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority voted to remove the affordable housing bond from the ballot. It would have generated 2.2 to 4.5 billion for governments in the South Bay to build more affordable homes and preserve existing affordable housing. The San Jose City Council also voted in June to reallocate a majority of Measure E funds, originally for affordable housing creation, to focus on encampment interventions and temporary shelter solutions. What are your ideas or commitments to expanding and protecting revenue sources dedicated to affordable housing units? And for this question, we will start with George.
I believe that we as a city can do better in the development process altogether. I think it's difficult to develop any type of projects here in San Jose, and that puts a chokehold on development of affordable housing as well. I think, specifically as it refers to the Measure E funds, I mean, it depends on how you term affordable housing. I don't want to get too Orwellian here, but the idea that tiny homes or quick build homes aren't deemed affordable housing, I don't know if that's a distinction that needs to be made. But I believe that we can do a lot better in terms of the entitlement process and the development fees and the onerous regulatory environment that we've created here in the path of any type of development. We should be removing those obstacles. That's a tool that we have available to us as folks that are in charge of the entitlement process. So I would like to preserve monies that go to affordable housing, but my emphasis would be on making it much easier to develop housing here in San Jose.
Great. Thank you very much for that. And I also want to say thank you. It looks like Olivia's here now. Hello, Olivia. We are going through our first question. And next, to answer it, actually, if you'd like to check it, it is in the chat. Next to answer it is actually Arjun, if you would like to go ahead.
All right. Okay. I think affordable homes, we needed a large number of them in this city. We have had difficulties in terms of getting things built. I've worked on improving our entitlement process and the permitting process. For renovations and remodels, I got the process changed where it used to take a year and a half to get any kind of a permitting get done. Now it takes 3 days to get that done. So our contractors have a job to do. But that alone isn't going to fix the problem. We need for the affordable homes much more than just our current method of funding it, because this method of funding has got it takes too long. It produces too few homes. So we have to look at the new and innovative ways to get it done. One of the ways which you had for a long time decided, inclusionary housing. We haven't been getting any inclusionary housing. We have looked at the records ever since I came there. Most of the developers pay a fee and they don't build any inclusionary housing there. We need to be able to get more inclusionary housing built. Number two, we need to be able to make mixed use, mixed income properties. We do not want to have these segregated properties, segregated areas like those were in the past. They did not work very well for us. So the North San Jose development of 1,500 homes, which is a mixed use, mixed income, is the kind of developments we need to do. And that's what I will encourage.
Thank you very much for your answer. Next is Michael.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see the regional bond come off the ballot. So I'll commit to working with advocates to see a Bay Area-wide funding stream approved sometime in the future for sure. But for now, we've got to make sure we're doing a better job of making building new housing more affordable. And that's going to be my short-term priority. I want to point out, and you might have read today, a few of the projects that pre-COVID, they were aimed to be at market rate, some with 20% affordable, or it was an office building, hotel, or now being re-permitted as 100% affordable. That is a financing market response because this new approach is going to open up opportunities for financing. I mean, that's the reality of our current marketplace. There's no question it's great to get more affordable units. Overall, San Jose and California need an overall balance, however, of opportunities for housing. And that goes for all income levels. We got to go, and that's the way we can grow jobs, create affordability for more people, and to get the building trades back to work in a big way. And that's a certain driver for our economy as well here locally. And certainly we have to streamline permitting in City Hall. George as a sitting commissioner and me who has taken a lot of people through the process, we know how difficult it is, but we also have to be bolder. We've done a really good job with ADUs, but I think we can do more. They're dramatically less costly to create because there's no land cost. They're smaller and they're frequently manufactured off-site. My time is up. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And next is Olivia. If you'd like, I can also repeat the question. I know I pointed to it in the chat, but it's like 3 sentences. So if you'd like, I can read it back for you. You are next to answer it. You are also muted currently. Ooh, I cannot hear you.
Hey Olivia, do you want to try testing a different mic? We can't hear you still. You're also welcome to call in if you have a phone nearby.
Okay. So while Olivia is getting patched in, I think we could move to the next question and then circle back if there's time, if that is okay. Okay, I saw some nods and thumbs up from everyone, but I'll go to question number 2 then. Since 2021, the City of San Jose has partnered with nonprofit providers called BEST Contractors to provide violence prevention and community-based intervention services focused on our community's youth. During the March 2024 budget message, Mayor Mahan highlighted that youth who enroll in BEST programs are 82% less likely to be referred to in the county probation department for alleged delinquent offenses. In the context of the city budget, how would you make decisions about how to prioritize city resources, including deciding between investments in community-based prevention and intervention of violence and crime and other needs or strategies? And for this one, we are actually going to start with Michael.
Thanks. So I believe to make our city safer, it's in our best interest for this to be an and/or question. We have to do both in order to get back to being one of America's safest cities. And the thousands of voters I've talked to in our district, in all precincts, north to south, east to west, safety is their number one concern, and having a greater sense of security. So I believe that requires both more of our well-trained police and more prevention programs like job training, mental health, treatment options, addiction services. Both are vital to safety, and both are my top priorities. And I've been talking about this since day one of the campaign. I also believe it's critical that we tighten our relationship with our county partners who have the ultimate role in health and human services, including mental health facilities, addiction services, our jail program. The county and city have to be working in sync for us both to keep our community safe and ultimately to create a healthier community overall.
Great. Thank you very much. Next on this is Olivia, if you can try, we can try the audio again.
Yes, let's see. I've been having technical issues, so I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Hello, everyone. All right.
Hello.
So the question was on budget. So one of the things that I do agree is that we do need to have more police, both police and prevention programming for our youth. And I'd be remiss to say $1 spent on prevention now reduces the need for police intervention later. We need to have a balanced approach. Bottom line, we need to hold together a police funding while we are also investing in prevention programs. The Youth Master Plan pilot project to impact crime hotspots was key. And we need to be able to have reduction on crime. So the crime in the South Bay has decreased in general, creating a huge opportunity to be more proactive, to be able to solve this program a little bit better. The number of gang impacted youth is lower than ever before, and we have a chance to provide these kids with resources to avoid the prison pipeline. Focusing on preventing the youth support and making our neighborhoods safer and relying solely on police intervention would definitely make it easier for us, and that would be part of my budget.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Next to answer this is Arjun.
Thank you very much. Public safety is on the top of the mind of every resident, every age person. We want to be able to make people be able to live without having to deal with the police in the manner in which they end up dealing today. So I've been holding public safety meetings with my residents, which is open to all ages of the people. I want police officers to be seen as one of the community members, not people who are doing something different than the community is doing. I try to bring them into any of the community events which we do, like the concerts in the hall, concert in the Greystone Park. I do want not only this program to continue and increase, but other programs which are aimed at making the youth to be able to go to the schools better. They have Project Hope projects there going on. They have something to do in the evening after school. They have facilities for being able to use their time more wisely, be part of the solution rather than the problem, and be part of the neighborhood association doing volunteer work. So we want to be a good role model to them and give them the opportunities to get involved on the constructive side. And hence, when they meet with the police, they're meeting in a good connection rather than in the connection in which they end up meeting today.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And next is George.
Yeah, so I believe fully staffing our police force is a priority, but also really pursuing crime intervention programs. In particular, we have an area, Hoffman Viamonte, in our District 10 that the YMCA, local YMCA, has adopted this community and has had a tremendous impact by providing after-school programs for a number of youth that otherwise may have been susceptible to getting into trouble. And these programs extend well into the summer as well, when these kids aren't going to school. And we've seen a dramatic drop in any type of crime incidents in that pocket. It's important for us to do crime prevention. I think getting these young men and women early on, I think the return on our investment is going to be 10, 20, 30 fold. And so I've been working with the folks at the YMCA to extend that program. It was started by Johnny Camus, and I look to provide that program in other parts of our District 10 as well.
Great. Well, thank you all for your answers. Going to move on to our third question now, which is the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling allowing governments to fine and jail and house people criminalizes residents, many of whom are from historically disadvantaged communities. Would you take any steps to limit the police department's participation in the fining and incarceration of people who are targeted for being homeless? And if so, what are they? The first one to take this question is going to be Arjun.
Okay. All right. So cities were previously guided by Martin versus Boise. And a lot of the cities took the approach that they basically could not do anything about the homeless people. There are only 5,000 homeless people in the city of San Jose, and there are 981,000 people who actually live in the homes. The life of both the 5,000 and the 981,000 isn't a comfortable life at all today. Okay, what Supreme Court decision, if properly used by any of the city, it should be able to take care of the people who have not been very cooperative with the city when they're offered the facilities. They do not take those facilities. Now you have a right to tell them that you cannot be at this particular location. Please move on to either take the facility we are offering you or something alternative, but you cannot be at this position. City of San Jose hasn't made any decision how they're going to utilize the power given under the Supreme Court, but it needs to be used judiciously in favor of the people who are homeless, but in also to make sure that the abuse of the homelessness is not done and needs to be highly balanced. And that's what I will be promoting to make sure that we use it accordingly, these forces.
Great, thank you. Next is George.
So my campaign, the basis of it is accountability. And I think in terms of this homelessness issue, we need to be accountable as residents, folks that are fortunate enough to have a home, to provide the services that the unhoused need, whether it's mental health treatment, whether it's drug intervention, or whether it's job training, and to provide housing for them or temporary housing. And they need to be accountable and actually seek these services. So we need to enforce the laws that are on the books. It wouldn't be my joy to fine or imprison anyone for being homeless. So I would be open to any other suggestions, but at the moment, we need to hold folks accountable. Again, we need to be accountable and provide these folks the services that they desperately need, but they need to seek these services. And if they're not willing to do so, there will be held accountable. But again, fines and imprisonment is not my first choice. So if there are nonprofits out there that have better solutions available to us, I'm willing to entertain those. But at the moment, I'm unaware of any. So we would have to enforce our laws, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you for that. Next is Olivia.
Thank you. I don't believe that we should criminalize people for becoming homeless. I believe that there's a lot of people in the city of San Jose and Santa Clara in general that are 1 to 2 paychecks away from being homeless. Many couch surf, many young and unfortunately children are also part of that pocket. So to criminalize someone for becoming homeless is a drastic measure. If anything, we should utilize that funding to be able to invest it back in wraparound services and preventative measures. One of the programs that we currently can support is when people are about to become homeless. to opt for the prevention route and figure out ways where once they are houseless, we're able to give them the resources, the job training. I've worked in a nonprofit where we have workforce development, and I'm proud that our particular nonprofit has taken people that have been in unfortunate circumstances, trained them, repurposed their skills so that they can actually go out in the workforce with their tools in hand and look for another way of creating an opportunity for themselves. So no, I don't agree that we should criminalize them. It is not a crime to become homeless. It is an unfortunate fact that we live in a have and a have not environment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Next is Michael.
Homelessness is not a crime, and we should not be criminalizing it. And that said, I don't think your housing status should matter when we enforce our laws. I believe our moral responsibility as a city is to provide enough safe and decent shelter for everyone. And that as we do, people will have the responsibility to come indoors and access that shelter. There's tremendous outreach that we need to do, and it must be sustained. And in some cases, those outreach workers should be paired with law enforcement for their safety and the safety of everyone. Of course, there should be safeguards, and that comes in the form of ongoing communication and training of our workforce. But we always have to consider the safety of our outreach workers. Our attendees today probably know about 988, the Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Crisis Lifeline, and I'm glad to see the county is promoting it. I used it last week, and after a 20-minute call with dispatch, they required I call 911 for a welfare check on the individual. We need to help our community understand the different resources for reporting and what's available to them. 988 was not a perfect situation for me in that case, but we need to encourage people's patience to use it. I also want to support the efforts of County Supervisors Susan Ellenberg, Otto Lee, for going after Prop $1 for more mental health beds. And I want to work with Susan Ellenberg to locate that in our shared district along the Bascom Corridor and D6 lands. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for your answers on that one. Next is our lightning question round, but before we get to that, I'm actually going to circle back up to the housing question to give Olivia some time to respond to that one. Olivia, would you like me to read the question again?
Yes,
And then we can.
and
Sounds
thank
good. Yeah, no worries. So on August 14th, the Bay Area Housing Finance Authority voted to remove the affordable housing bond from the ballot, which would have generated $2.2 to $4.5 billion for governments in the South Bay to build more affordable housing and preserve existing affordable housing. The San Jose City Council also voted in June to reallocate a majority of Measure E funds originally for affordable housing creation to focus on encampment interventions and temporary shelter solutions. What are your ideas or commitments to expanding and protecting revenue sources dedicated to affordable housing units?
Thank you. Many may or may not know that I actually sit on the Measure T Oversight Committee, and I actually ran the field campaign for that, which is what made our city slightly safer. And sitting on that oversight committee, I know that it's important that whatever we promise our taxpayers and our voters out there, that we comply. The money that was moved from Measure E, unfortunately, makes it so that we don't have sustainable long-term plans to have affordable housing available. I believe, and I think it's unfortunate that we don't have a regional bond, but the agreement would be to have a better regional bond to be able to solve this or assist in this solution would be the best answer, to be honest, because it's a multi-layered, like peeling an onion when we're talking about this. And also partnering with, state, local, and federal partnerships is important and critical to be able to get that funding to our city of San Jose. Yeah, so in terms of making more affordable housing, we definitely, and I would be supportive of a bond to be able to provide more affordable housing here for our constituents and all residents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that answer. And thank you everyone for your answers on all these questions so far. Like I said, we're now going to shift to our lightning round questions. These are a series of quick questions, each either with a yes or no answer or a response of one sentence or less. We will start with Arjun and once again alternate between candidates for each question. What is your favorite public park in your district? Starting with Arjun.
Oh, Almaden Lake Park.
Great. Okay. And then George.
Same, Almaden Lake.
Now Olivia. Oh, you
He's
unmuted the wrong one.
I believe for us, we call it the Willow Street Park, but it's Branham Park. We have Mother's Day there every year.
Oh, nice. And next is Michael.
Well, I grew up calling it Willow Street Park, but it's Bramhall Park on Willow. So great for lawn bowls and Little League.
Okay. Thank you for that. Next quick question is, what artist or podcasts have you been listening to recently? For this one, we're going to start with George.
Oh, there's two. I listen to Shannon Sharp and Tim Ferriss.
Okay. And next is Michael.
Scott Galloway, Prof G, and I would say anything during a Warriors season and Chef Curry's run.
Nice. Next is Arjun.
I've been listening to a variety of them. As you know, this is an election fever season. There are lots of different ones around, so I listen to the variety of them.
Gotcha. Okay. And then next is Olivia.
I have top three: Pink, Beyonce, and Taylor Swift.
Okay. And last lightning round question is, what is your favorite restaurant, store, or other business in your district? And this one, we're going to start with Michael.
Oh boy, you're going to get us in trouble with
Yeah.
So I won't take the out. I will pick one that I just enjoy because I've been going there for 30 years, and that's Palermo on Ozare in Midtown. Diane and Renato are just such great, hardworking people.
Okay. Next is Olivia.
This is tricky because I got in trouble last time, but I will pick the one that my youngest son really likes. It's La Taqueria Superior. It's actually really good and really delicious. Highly recommend everybody come and check it out.
Okay. And then next is Arjun.
Yes, so I'm trying to stay out of trouble. I've been frequently going to different ones. I support all of the local small businesses, and as a part of that, I go to the different ones. I'm not trying to make one favorite over the other ones. And I gone to the Brazilian one, Vietnamese one, Italian, Mexican. And there is no Indian restaurant in in this part of the area. So I've gone to all of those different ones here, and I continue to support those all hardworking restaurants, which make our life really interesting.
Okay. Thank you. And next is George.
There is an Indian restaurant in our Chowder House in the Blossom Hill and Santa Teresa Lucky's shopping center. For me, it's based on frequency, and it's what the kids constantly dictate, and it has to be In-N-Out Burger. It's a default for our household.
Sure. It's good to hear. I feel like I just got a lot of good recommendations. But thank you all very much for your quick answers there. We're going to get back into the regular Q&A, back to 1 minute, 30 seconds on answers, and back to longer questions. So this first question is, a critical component of advancing racial justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion is involving individuals with lived experiences of racial inequity, justice system involvement, disability-based discrimination, and other harms in leadership and decision-making roles. How should the city incorporate community voices, including those of youth, in its decisions regarding policies, programs, and initiatives that directly impact children and families? For this one, we are going to start with Olivia. We can't hear you.
I keep on clicking unmute on the video one, so I apologize.
No worries.
So many may not know, but I was actually elected as the neighborhood commissioner for District 6, where we reviewed the budget for the city of San Jose for transportation, public safety, code enforcement, and quality of life issues. And it was my pleasure to do so. It was a bottom-up approach in government, and it was the only commission that you're elected to, not appointed to. I think it's critical and important that we empower our neighbors across the district to be able to participate in our commissions, where we're able to partner with them and get their work that they do, and whether it be on ad hoc committees, to apply it to our policy and crafting. In terms of the Youth Commission, it's one of the ones that I fully support, and I encourage youth across the city to apply to the Youth Commission. They have the Youth Task Force that made it sorry, I apologize. They have a program that they ran with policy to be able to make it their voices heard. And I would encourage to partner not only for that council as a whole, but in each department to also counsel and meet with the Youth Commission so that their voices can be heard whenever they're having programming for the different departments, anything that might impact our youth. It's very important to have their voices and a seat at the table for them, so that we're able to craft better policy for our working families, our marginalized community members, and our kids.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next is Michael.
So as a longtime neighborhood advocate, I know that more people are heard, the better our government outcomes. But we need to be proactive here and not just sit back and let people come to City Hall. We should have more hearings in neighborhoods, more community outreach, and simply more active listening to people who are now not always heard. So right now in my campaign, we have 12 interns. Most are upper grades in high school, and they're not only helping out on campaign activities, but we wanted to give them more. So we have a research program going now where they're cataloging city services, facilities, countless other categorizations of things. The goal is not only to help me get smarter as a candidate, but to have a good sense of where opportunities lie and the neighbors and groups aligned around them. And like to your organization, SVCN, I encourage you to do more of the roundtable work we did leading up to this forum, where we sat down with some of your members. Learning more about your members' agencies in a non-confrontational setting was really important and valuable to me. And as a council member, I'll be open to learning more from you and having candid conversations about city and community priorities.
Okay. Thank you very much. Next is George.
Yeah, our campaign also has, I think, over 30 young men and women, I think all the way down to junior high age and up to first and second college years. It's important. We ask them for their input regularly, and we have an open door policy in terms of them coming to us with the issues that are pressing for them in their cohort. But I also find folks on the youth commission are generally these higher performing kids that come from well-to-do backgrounds. So I think it's incumbent upon us to actually be very proactive and go into communities and neighborhoods and talk to young folks that otherwise probably wouldn't apply to be a youth commissioner. I think creating that communication infrastructure is important and being visible. I've seen, as I mentioned earlier, the impact that it can have on areas like the Hoffman-Viamonte area. While in grad school getting my urban planning master's, we actually adopted that area and went in and talked to a lot of folks where English is their second language. So I can't imagine folks that don't speak English well would even join the youth commission. So it's important for us to be, as Michael said, very proactive and go out and seek and find young folks and include them in the conversation, because I believe their input will be very impactful in terms of shaping our future.
Great. Thank you very much. Next is Arjun.
I think the answer to your question lies in the question itself. Okay, you talked about it do we need to hear different voices? We need to hear different communities, different age brackets. You emphasize the youth. I do work with the youth commissions. I do hold special meetings with the youth. I also try to connect with the schools because even though the council doesn't have much to do with the schools, I'm deeply connected with every one of the schools from elementary to the high school. What we need to be doing is the council members who are representing these neighborhoods, they need to be deeply rooted into the neighborhoods. I go to the meetings every 3 weeks with the community, and I have in-person meetings with them. They have their own neighborhood meetings, which they invite me. Senior Association has their meetings. I go to them every month to attend that. So it is a question of being with the people where they are, holding special session, like when we are doing the hiring of the police chief and the housing director. We actually held community meetings to get the input of the community. What kind of people would you like to hire? What should be their main attribute? That's the level of involvement we need to have in every one of those cases, which impact the community, which is what I've been promoting personally, and the city has been promoting. That's what we will do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your answers. This next question has been submitted by Choose Children, an initiative of the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. Despite recent state and local investments and the expansion of transitional kindergarten, San Jose is short more than 19,000 licensed infant and toddler childcare spaces to meet the current demand. What will you do to support the expansion of childcare and give parents safe and quality childcare options so that they can go to work? We are going to start this one with George.
Yeah, so one of the tools that the city has is land use and zoning. And one of the predicaments we're currently facing, there is a lot of ground floor retail throughout the city and multi-use projects that are vacant. And in fact, developers, because the cities require these ground floor retail spaces, basically write them off as a loss. And I think zoning those for childcare services and reducing the fees that are required for small businesses to occupy those spaces, and in any way we can, incentivizing the owners of those projects to give these childcare facilities a subsidized or reduced rent, lowering the cost effectively. I think we can spur a lot of childcare activity in small businesses. But we have that tool available to us, and we have, I mean, even downtown, if you go and look at the number of vacant retail floor opportunities there that could house a lot of childcare opportunities. And they're also throughout the community as well. There's a lot of ground floor retail available, and we should do something to energize and activate those with childcare facilities at a subsidized rate.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Arjun.
So childcare today is like probably many, many years ago, the healthcare. It was not considered a primary benefit for the employees. But healthcare today, there's no large employer who doesn't provide healthcare. I think we have to get to a stage where all large employers have to provide childcare benefit. You saw the city of San Jose started moving in that direction. This year, we are giving nominal assistance, but that's a start. That's how you get things going. So there are three elements to the childcare. Number one is obviously the money. So hopefully we're going to make this as a benefit from all employers. Second is where the facilities are located. The facilities need to be located where the people can drop their children and still get to work. So you have some employers who can have facilities right on their premises, like Valley Water used to have in our District 10, a childcare facility right on that premises. We need to encourage more employers to do that kind of a thing. Third is having qualified people who are going to be providing childcare. And it is not everybody's business that they can get up and provide a quality childcare. We need to invest in creating certified childcare people, and that the government has a role in being able to do that, encourage and provide training of that kind, so that we have all those three elements to make sure we have the childcare niches superior to anything else and be able to provide that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next is Michael.
So I appreciate what George was talking about around the power of land use, and I agree. But look, we have to work harder and smarter to grow our economy, particularly our middle-class jobs, and by attracting employers who offer quality childcare. And this has two benefits. First, more families who can afford or are offered quality childcare, but also more tax revenue so we can afford to expand childcare for those who can't afford it. So with my background in economic development, I'll be focused on the kind of smart economic policies that grow our tax revenue so we can fund all the vital programs and priorities we share as a city. I also bring a background with a lifetime commitment to one of our community's longest thriving youth service providers, Children's Musical Theater. While childcare is not our stated mission, it is a massive benefit to families because we provide a structured, safe environment for young people after school, on weekends, and all summer long. I see this and so many other like it as models to be expanded. Look, a vigorous nonprofit sector that engages with youth and families is critical to San Jose's success. And then I'd also like to maximize underutilized resources such as city-owned facilities. For example, the Gardner Community Center in D6 is basically shuttered. If the city can't afford to run them directly, it should find partners to activate venues like these. And I know the public benefit sector, it does more with less than any other sector. No doubt you have services to provide if you had a facility.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is Olivia.
Thank you. As a mother of three, I know how important it is to have this programming and have to worry about childcare. Often I found myself utilizing childcare outside of my home, trying to figure out what would be a safe environment. So the most important thing for the city council to do is to fully restore the scholarship funding for the after school and preschool programs that are run through the city of San Jose. I personally benefited from those programs when I was growing up, so I know how critical it is. And I always say it takes a village to be able to raise a child, and the city is part of that village and can provide those resources. We operate these programs, but we unfortunately turn away a lot of those kids that actually need those services the majority of the time. I believe that we had federal funding during COVID through ARPA, and we were able to actually see how much it would cost the city to be able to provide scholarships for these families that need these services. And now that we know how much it actually costs, it's an actual attainable amount. We should be able to seek those resources, and also partnering with organizations like First Five so that they can also be able to train licensed care providers that are going to be paid well as well, because that's also important. So that's what I would do. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And thank you everyone for your answers to that one. We are running behind on time, so we had to cut a question. So that was our last one. So thank you very much for all your answers to those. We have a slight other change because of the timing. Our candidates will have 1 minute to each say their closing remark. Olivia will have 2 to make up for missing the opening statement. For the closing statements, we will start with Arjun.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for giving us the time and the opportunity to be able to present our views about the major needs which the nonprofits fill in. Today, there are 1.97 million nonprofits and charitable organizations in our country, and they seem to carry a fair load of doing the charitable work, meeting our charitable intentions. I do not believe that this city or any city can get all the work which we need to do without the help of the nonprofits. We need to be able to work together, but we need to be able to make sure that the nonprofits have a high reputation in terms of the dollars they receive. They actually deliver services with those. So I'd like to work with the nonprofits to make sure that we are doing the quality work and we are accountable to the community, and hence we can continue to give you more funds.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is George.
So the lower rungs on the socioeconomic ladder have eroded. And as a Black man who's the first person in his family to go to college, I'm aware of how critically important a good education is to get ahead in life here in the United States. And the social capital that's required to support that type of education is where I believe a lot of these nonprofits can play a very impactful role. So in the future, as a council member, anything I can do to support nonprofits that are working very hard to suture and repair those lower rungs of the socioeconomic ladder will have my utmost support. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Michael.
So I'm going to go back to our economy. As nonprofit leaders, you know, when the economy gets tough, donations, grants, government support wanes. But when it's growing broadly, opportunities for growth and stability increase. The same is true for our community. When our economy is growing, we lift up all families, particularly low-income families, which is why I want to focus every day on bringing high-wage jobs, union jobs, family-sustaining jobs to San Jose, because you know when they do that, we're creating a more equitable city. I have a long history working with, founding, and leading Team San Jose, which is a collaborative nonprofit of unions, business, arts, and hoteliers charged to bring more economic activity to San Jose. San Jose can do hard things, and since 2004, Team San Jose has driven the hotel tax revenues that go out to lift up our arts and cultural community, given the Office of Cultural Affairs its resources to distribute through its grant program. So much more to share, but got less on time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And last is Olivia. And as a reminder too, you have 2 minutes to make up for the opening statement.
Thank you. As someone's calling me on my phone. First, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here, and apologies for the technical delays. I want to appreciate all of you guys for the work that you do. As someone that works for a nonprofit and has partnered with them and has benefited as a resident, I know exactly what it takes to have a good relationship with you guys, because you guys are the actual workers in the background. There's a lot of families in the city of San Jose that rely on your services. So first and foremost, I want to thank you for everything that you do. You know, I'm born and raised in this district. I'm raising my 3 children here. I've enjoyed being in San Jose, but we have a community where, again, I say it's the haves and the have-nots, and we want to strive for everybody to thrive in San Jose. But the reality is that many of them are just surviving. And partnering with nonprofits like yourselves, we're able to uplift them and give them the resources and tools so that they can empower themselves. And hopefully, like my family has done, gone back and given back to the same organizations that uplifted them in their time of need. I am outstanding. I'm overwhelmed at times on how my family has been able to, over the generations, work with nonprofits and really help people in their most dire situations. So you have my complete support. You've had it before, you will continue to have it. And I feel like I'm a peer here because, like I said, I've worked for a nonprofit for quite some time, and I know what it's like to have to serve them with health needs, the community with health needs, with education needs, and being that rubber band that kind of puts them together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, all candidates, for your presentation and participation. I will pass it back to Janella to close this forum out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sakura. Candidates, thank you so much for joining us again today. We really appreciate you sharing your visions for our city's future. And of course, a special shout out to our amazing moderator, Sakura, who has been absolutely wonderful at moderating today's forum. All of your time is much appreciated, and we're so happy to have you join us. And once again, a huge thank you to all of our attendees for making it out today, and our sponsor, the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. And as a nonprofit association, we want to be accessible to you all as best as possible. Please reference the information listed here if you would like to contact our team. Your feedback and suggestions really help us improve the ways we serve this sector. This concludes our candidate forum. Thank you everybody for joining us and bearing with us through technical difficulties. And as a reminder, all of our recordings will be posted on our YouTube page and we'll be sure to announce them as they become available.